So it's an empty row in Google Sheets, and we're gonna make an appointment with the Amillia plugin, and let's just see what happens. Go to the website, we want to make an appointment, and we pick a date, 1st of May, with a particular time. Then we embed the fake email and so on, and we're gonna make the appointment, and then we see that the appointment has been added and it's approved because I have selected immediately approving when I installed the plugin. But let's just see what happens when we are going to cancel it or we change the date. So first let's change the dates. As we can see here is the 1st of May, and when we are going in here and we're going to see the appointments and we're going to the 1st, and you can see that the appointment is in here, so it's approved. And let's just change it, and we're going to say a month later, so we are going to say, and then another specific time, and you can see that the has been changed, and I have also embedded the word in Dutch that the appointment has been changed. So the date is changed now, and let's see when we are canceling it. So the status is now approved, but we are going to say that we are gonna change it, but that doesn't work on this moment, but now it does, so it's cancelled. So that's an easy way to organize your plannings, and you can also do it with, of course, with other plugins. It's about the meaning. If you understand how it works, then you can apply it with many use cases. So what is important? Important is that you are making the Google Sheets and then select the fields with the appointment ID, the name, the mobile, the street name, the status, the start date and the end date, and some custom fields in the email from the customer. Now, what is this? The appointment ID is very important. This is what you have to keep in mind. So when you go into the Uncanny Automator and to all the recipes, then you can see that I've made 3 of them, and the first one is when somebody has made an appointment, and it's very simply. Actually, you choose for Amillia. It doesn't have to be a logged-in user. The other ones have to be a logged-in user, but this one is just for everybody, because when they sign up for the first time, then they are not subscribed yet, or maybe they are, but most of the cases they are not when they're coming for the first time on your website. So you have to choose the category and the service, and I'm gonna show you what the category and service are. So when you are going to the Amillia, then you can see here the category and the service. Let me first change this fast. I'm so sorry, guys, in English, so you know what I'm talking about. I had done this before. Now let's just turn it in English, but also the time zone is very important. So you have to choose the time zone from your own country. In my case it's Amsterdam, but when you're in the United States, then you have to choose for the time zone in your particular country where you're living in. So that has been said. So we have a category and a service. When we go into the Amillia plugin, then we go in here to the service, and you can see that I've embedded one service, and this is the category. Make sure that it is an other name than the service itself. So the service and the category must have not in the same name. Actually, I did it in here, but it's better to change it. I don't know if it have any influence, but for security reasons, you have to change it. So you see here, this is the category ID number 1, and this is the service ID number 2. And when you make another service, then it will be ID number 2. So it's important that you have chosen for the ID number 1 for the category and the ID number 1 for the service. Once you have done that, then you have to choose for create a row in Google Sheets, and then you have to get the columns, but first you have to go to the particular sheet that you're using and the spreadsheet and the worksheets. Now the spreadsheet is actually the page, and this here on the button, that is the worksheet. So once you connect it, so this is the name of the page, or this from the project, and this is the particular page that you're using. Once you have connected, then you have to get the columns. Now what is important, what I told you, is the appointment ID, so don't forget it because you need it the whole time. So the appointment ID is actually a unique ID, and it's the same as the other IDs that we have grabbed from the Amillia plugin, and so we have to use that, and then you have to choose for the fields from the Amillia plugin. So when you're going in here, then you go into the Amillia plugin and you choose the fields that you need. And what are the fields that you need? First, the appointment ID is appointment ID, and then the name is of course the first name for the customer, the phone number, and so on, and then you have to save it. And don't forget the email address, because that is important for as well. The start date and the end date are also very important, and of course the status. If you don't embed the start date and the end date and the status, then the whole thing will not go on. So once you have done that, then you can save it. Don't forget to toggle this in draft mode when you're working on your sheets or in your animator, because if you don't do that, then sometimes it will give you a conflict. So once you have done that and you have saved it, then we can cancel it now because I already did it. Then you can make another trigger, and that doesn't have to be unlocked in. So it's yes, it has to be a login, sorry. So when the appointment has been rescheduled, then of course you're choosing for Amillia when an appointment is rescheduled. Then you go into the sheets, and you go into the same thing. So the worksheet ID, the column ID, you grab that from the Google Sheets, and of course don't forget to grab the category and the service ID, and well, then it's actually the same thing. You don't have to use every update, but of course you only use the status, the start date, and the end date. So the rest you can leave blank because the customer doesn't change the email and also not the appointment ID. So don't toggle this on, because otherwise it will be double, and then there will be a conflict and it won't work. So keep that in mind. Now you can also choose in specific cases, for example, the appointment the appointment provider ID. But once again, when you want to do that, then you have to also embed it in the beginning. I'm sorry. So the first field that you are using has also have the appointment ID. So that have been said, then we are going to the next trigger. I'm sorry, I had something in my throat. So when we go into all the recipes, and we are going to say that we want to, when an appointment or service has been cancelled, then will update the status, and it's actually the same thing. The category, the server ID, and go into this particular Google Sheet, and then grab the data and make no mistakes. Don't embed the appointment ID. That value must be empty, and then choose for the status. So you go in here and then you choose for the appointment status. Now that was it for this automations. It's actually very simple, and of course you can make more automations. So when you want to receive a WhatsApp message or an SMS message or whatever you want, you send emails, you can do whatever you want. The sky is the limit. I already have made tutorials about that as well. Not of the sky is the limit, but of course of the WhatsApp integration and your WordPress website or the SMS. So consider to subscribe when you didn't already do that. And I want to show you some customizations in Amillia that are very important when you go into the settings and to the notifications. Then you can see that you have to choose for the SMTP. Now I've chosen for the WordPress mail, but it's better to use the SMTP or the PHP mail. But when you don't do that, then your customers won't receive an email. So keep that in mind. And then of course you have to customize the success URL when they have completed it, and the cancel URL. I've redirected to their account, but there are a lot of tutorials about Amillia where you can see how everything works. With the general settings, you can choose for the minutes. So when you want to allow people to schedule per minute, then you can choose it in here. You can choose the default option of pending or approved. Well, you can do a lot, and as I told you, it's not for this tutorial, but I want to grab a couple of important things. The email was very important, and then of course you have the custom fields that I've used. And what are custom fields? Well, basically you can adding a field, as you can see here, a text field, text area, and the address fields. And when you're using the address fields, then you have to embed also the Google API key. And once again, I've already made a tutorial about how API key works. And then you have to dedicate it to the particular service. I have only one service, but you get the ID. So when you have embedded these fields, then you also have to embed it in Google Sheets when you want to do what we have done in this tutorial. So don't forget that, because otherwise you won't grab the dates and drop it in Google Sheets. Now the other thing that is very important is, of course, when you go into the appointments, and here there are the appointments. Nope, it's not the appointments. To the service, you must make a category, otherwise it won't work, and you must dedicate it to. And we wait, and that's because Amillia unfortunately loads a lot of data that you also not use. So they loading the data from the advanced, but not only for the appointments, but they're loading a lot of things. That's, I think it's a little bit too overwhelming, but okay, that's me. So you can see that you can customize it in here now. What you have customized it by default, you can change it in here. Then you have the payment settings. Don't forget to go on the live mode when you're using your provider. So in this case I'm using Molly, but when you're using Stripe or something else, then don't forget to activate it in the live mode. And yeah, I can say a lot of this, but let's not do it, otherwise it will be too overwhelming maybe in this tutorial. One thing I want to mention, however, is that you have for example here the notifications. Now these are the emails that your employees and your customers will receive. Now these are tokens. You can change them. You can grab the tokens or the macros. Macros, and you can see that you can choose wherever you want to use, but also the custom fields. Now it says custom fields number 1, so you have to copy it when you want to use it, and then you have to embed it into the email. But as you can see on the left side, you see a little black box, and then you can see what the meaning is, what you have made on the custom fields, but it doesn't show in the macro itself. So when you hover over it, then you can see what it is or what it was. When you want to translate it in once, then you can use deep L. So you see here a little button, and then you can translate it. Once you press on the button, then the whole email will be translated, but also the macros. So keep that in mind. And that is not the meaning. So you have to some or the other way, you have to delete the macros and embed them once again, because the macros will also be translated and they won't work anymore. And if you want to do it this way, you can check it, and then you can choose for selected, for translated, and then it will only translate this particular line of text. Don't forget to make an employee. If you go here, then you must make an employee, and even if it's yourself, so you are the employee. It doesn't grab by default the WordPress user, the administrator. So what you have to do, normally you think by yourself, well, I am the owner of the website, so automatically I will be an employee, and I will be able to schedule the things and to do everything what you want with Amillia. That's not the case, unfortunately. You have to make an email address, you give yourself a name, you choose the time zone, you give yourself a password, and then you're good to go. Then you can use the Amillia plugin. Working hours, day offs, let's just keep it for now, for what I've told you now for this tutorial, because Amillia plugin, it can do a lot, but it takes some time, maybe an hour or something like that, to know everything what you have to do with Amillia. So guys, ladies, gentlemen, thank you for watching, and if you didn't subscribe, consider, and I'll see you the next time. Thanks for watching.